And this is someone that I know has the courage to take on the issue. Some people think that courage is by, when you just come out and talk and you can say this. No, it's by putting yourself down there and saying those things that people are afraid to talk about. We know about oil theft. It's still going on in Nigeria. And there's one candidate who spoke about it repeatedly. And since after the election, it's almost as if nothing is being said about it. And you sit down with what he said about the oil cabal. This is someone who has the courage to stand and dare and go for it.
And Kenneth Okonkwo said that, look, 2023 is gone. But in 2027, Atiku, Tinubu, Peter Obi should step aside. Would you be supporting Peter Obi in 2027? Or you hold the view that they should step aside?
You know, what I found strange about that statement, and I remember we had a long conversation with Kenneth Okonkwo. I called him out like, on what basis was Atiku, Tinubu, and Peter Obi put on the same
pedestal?
Yes, or used the same bench, a paint or brush used on them. It might have made sense to him, and he has a right to his own opinion. It doesn't to me. I don't see in what capacity has that would that happen. And for me, Peter Obi is one person whom I know has the love and care for people. He has empathy. He feels what happens to the citizens. And it's someone that I see who wants to have a legacy. That's something that's important to me. I'm not looking for someone who gets to office, who doesn't care, who all he's thinking about is how do I take more money? How do I buy private, more presidential jets for myself, more yacht, more whatever for myself, rather than how do I ensure my name that in the next, 100 years, 200 years, when they're talking about Nigeria, it's me. And this is someone that I know has the courage to take on the issue. Some people think that courage is by, when you just come out and talk and you can say this. No, it's by putting yourself down there and saying those things that people are afraid to talk about. We know about oil theft. It's still going on in Nigeria. And there's one candidate who spoke about it repeatedly. And since after the election, it's almost as if nothing is being said about it. And you sit down with what he said about the oil cabal. This is someone who has the courage to stand and dare and go for it.
Those who ask you, what has he done? Did he do that in Anambra State? Has he shown capacity in the past life?
Let me finish my thought. You won't take we'll come to that. I'm here. See, if you want to do 10 hours, I'm not going anywhere. So calm down. Not rush yourself. Don't yourself. You understand? You sit down with what he has said about the oil cabal that we have and what they're currently doing. You see a situation whereby Tompolo has even accused the Navy of being the one to connive with those who are stealing our oil. And nothing. And right now, as we are here, nobody is saying anything about that. Come back to courage. When you talk about courage and say that whether Peter Obi has done this in Anambra, say, yes, he did. You saw what he did with the OBI family? What's this other one? There was a whole lot of like exactly what we have in Nigeria. There was a hold in Anambra State where people felt that there are certain people who control the state and nothing could be done about it. And he came on and he stood. He won the election. The election was rigged. He went to the courts, you understand, to ensure that the right thing was done. And he stood for so many years. And one of the things that he always talk about that sometimes when he goes to that, he used to go alone. Whereas the other ones are coming with their shoebi, they're dancing, they're drumming, they're going on. He stayed on. You understand? That in itself is courage. One of the things you've not asked, but I'm going to ask you. One of the things that people have said is the fact that after the 2023 election, he could have asked that people be on the street. People, for them, that is courage. That's not necessarily courage. This is someone who said, no, I'm going to follow the legal system and take it to the end. I believe in the Nigerian institution. And I believe in the Nigeria and go with it. But there are people who feel that it's always about get people to be on the street, get them to be out there, put them on in harm's way or fire's way or whatever. And Peter Obi has said, no, he is not going to do that. And I'll give you just a bit of an insight into what we're doing our campaign. During that whole campaign, there was a time when I think you saw P Square. Mm-hmm. They supported Peter Obi openly. They didn't deny, they didn't hide it. And they were supposed to perform at a particular. It took a lot. I remember I spent over 8 hours with lots of messages, giving him 1, 2, 3, I think about 9 or whatever reasons why they should be on it. And his fear was that he didn't want them to be, what's the word that is used now, to be victimized. Because he knows how the system works. There are a lot of people who want to support. Nigerians have been coward. To the extent you come out and support and then you become a victim. That's the kind of person that he is. And it takes a lot of courage for someone to see people who are ready to whatever, and a lot of responsibility. See people who are ready to say, we're going to do anything if you want us to stay. But he refused. And I see people coming out to call that means lack of courage because he had 6 million people.
Yesufu. Whenever I see people talk about Mr. P2B and courage and insinuating that he doesn't have courage, maybe because of the way he speaks, the way his voice sounds, and I always laugh maybe when I see people or I hear people who try to judge him by his voice, and judge P2B by his voice at your own peril. The people of Anambra, they understood this when he was their governor. They called him Adobe when he was starting. And when he began to demolish all their structures of criminality that he uses to call them, and they all saw him, and the name Okute, came to be. Okute actually means rock. Yes, his name is Peter, and biblically Jesus said, "Upon this rock, will I build my church." But beyond that, he was, given the name Okute by his doings, by the things he began to do in Anambra State. If anybody knew Anambra State before Peter Obi became the governor, and then the person also knew Anambra State when Peter Obi was the governor, and then when Peter Obi finished his governance, the person will truthfully tell you that Anambra was completely transformed. That is why when you ask Mr. Peter Obi his greatest achievement in Anambra State, he will always tell you that it is bringing civility in the state, that his greatest achievement as the governor of Anambra State is bringing order. Because he will always tell you that Anambra, before he came, was very chaotic, and which is true. And that was why a sitting governor was kidnapped. A sitting governor, Governor Ngige, he was kidnapped. There were people who felt they owned Anambra State. The first civilian governor, after the return of civilian rule in 1999 by the name Chinwoke Mbadinuju, this man saw hell. Anambra was in disarray. It was something else. And of course, he didn't come back, his second tenure, because the powers that be did not want him. So it was like that. That was why that even Bianca Ono confessed that P2B ended godfatherism in Anambra State. So when people talk about courage, I always laugh because they don't know Okute. Is it the criminality that was going on in Anambra State when or before this man became governor? We quickly forget about Opiweka, a place that was known, very notorious for robbery and all kinds of evil. But this man sanitized the place. So much so that, some armed robbers began to run away from Anambra State. It is on record that the then Inspector General of Police confirmed that Anambra State was the safest state in Nigeria for 5 consecutive years. 5 years. So when we talk about courage, it's not by coming to, breed touts, motor park touts, and, snatching of ballot boxes. Those things are not courage. Those things, they are touts. Being a tout is different from being courageous. That is one thing that we must understand. And of a truth, Peter Obi is very courageous. And some of us that, saw his governance, we know that this man is courageous. And we encourage Nigerians, he will deal with the issues in Nigeria courageously. And we encourage us to come out and support this man even in 2027. Thank you so much for your time. May God bless you.